In this music video, Trampoline by Shaed, it shows this rose that's burning in a very similar fashion to something I featured on a recent plasma fire video, where it appears that it's burning the petals from the outer edges in. Like, I think maybe they put this rose in a microwave and filmed it while it was burning. But I'm not going to play it too much. It only lasts for a second anyway in order to avoid copyright strike. I'll put the link in the description for you to watch the rest of the video. But this is the thumbnail image of a video I put up just a couple weeks ago titled Local Plasma Fire Burns with a New Pattern. And you can see the outer edges of the leaves here are burned. Link will also be in the description for this video, but most of you have probably seen that. And so I'm just going to go over some of the imagery in this music video and then read the lyrics. But this white chiffon, this is a theme throughout the music video, and a lot of it seems to be pointing towards Jay Dreamer's theory, and I'm not sure if it's a theory or something that we should come up with a different word for, because that kind of debases it as if it's not based on a large amount of evidence. But this white, well, cruise through and scroll through. She's in a white dress there. There's this white statue. Here she's looking like someone from the Hunger Games with that hairdo. But this white color is what Jay Dreamer says is the color of the phantazoids. When the sky breaks open, and these guys are also white and pale and pasty and covered with some sort of white coating, and there's the rose that burns as if it's in a microwave from the outer tips. And so I think you get the point. They're all white, and this is the color of what Jay Dreamers refers to as the phantazoids. Tried to get it to stop on that spot, but you get it. There's the chiffon over her face again. And so this pasty white color of the people in here might be pointing towards phantazoids. There's one last good example of it, how everything's all covered in white, the pasty white. And so here's the lyrics, which also seem to align with the Jay Dreamer's cosmology of when the sky bursts open and we go to a zero gravity, or buoyancy reaches a neutral point and things just kind of start floating in the air and gravity don't work the way it did a second ago. I've been having dreams, jumping on a trampoline, flipping in the air. I never land, just float there. As I'm looking up, suddenly the sky erupts. Flames alight the trees, spreading to the falling leaves. And now they're right upon me. Wait, if I'm on fire, how am I so deep in love? When I dream of dying, I've never feel so loved. And then it repeats it. I've been having dreams, splashing in a summer stream, trip and fall in. I wanted it to happen. My body turns to ice, crushing weight of paradise, solid block of gold lying in the cold. I feel right at home. Wait, if I'm on fire, how am I so deep in love? When I dream of dying, I never feel so loved. And then it repeats that again. But the lyrics here do align with the Jay Dreamer's cosmology, like the song Skyfall by Adele. This has a similar reference. Suddenly the sky erupts. Flames alight the trees. So simultaneously, these plasma fires coincide with the plasma apocalypse. And in the Jay Dreamer's cosmology, the top of the sky, the dome, pops and depressurization, rapid depressurization happens. And so this idea, it just occurred to me as I'm thinking about this song, that the ground works like a trampoline. So when this rapid depressurization happens and suddenly gravity is no longer working the way it used to, because it's actually buoyancy and density, and buoyancy reaches a neutral point, so things are floating, In the act of depressurization, the ground itself might spring upwards like a trampoline because it had 1,000 psi of downward pressure on the. Just to clarify some of my thought processes here, I said there's 1,000 psi, but in actuality they say 14.7 pounds per square inch is the average air pressure all around us, which multiplies to 2,150 pounds per square foot. And if the pressure release is directly above us, that 2,150 pounds per square foot that is equal in all directions, it suddenly has a path of least resistance, which is straight up. It could foreseeably create a trampoline effect. Just like if you popped a hole in the eastern wall, then a lot of this stuff would go toward the east. If you popped a hole in the western wall of the dome, of the pressurized dome, then a lot of stuff would go toward that direction. Pressure. It's plausible that the ground itself springs upward, a springboard effect, the old boing. Like if you had a string tied to the bottom of a trampoline and you were pulling down on it and then let go of that string. Similarly, the ground might actually spring upward when the depressurization happens. And that would fall in line with the lyrics here also. I've been having dreams, jumping on a trampoline, flipping in the air. I never land, just float there. As I'm looking up, suddenly the sky erupts, flames alight the trees, spread to the fallen leaves, and now they're right upon me. And I don't think I actually described or explained what I meant when I said phantazoids are this color white. J Dreamer's in his cosmology, when the lid pops off of the snow globe, beings and animals from other worlds come into our world and they float down because it's at a neutral buoyancy part. They don't come flying down and falling and hit the ground. They just kind of float down. And they're all different shapes and sizes, but they're all the same color. And some of those that he calls phantazoids are the two-legged intelligent types like us. One more thing before I move on to their interpretation of their lyrics, or at least the presentation they make to the public regarding their interpretation of their lyrics. You'll see something that looks like wings. It gives the impression that she is an angel. Right there. And there. But then you see her holding, there it is again. Then you see her holding a sheet and kind of swinging a sheet around. So it removes the impression that those are wings and tells you that's a sheet that she's holding and flailing around as part of her act. You'll see the wings again. You'll see her holding the sheet here in a moment. But it gives the impression of wings, an angelic look. There she's holding the sheet. And there it's behind her waving around again. It's all symbolism, and that could be the representation of what we think of like angel wings. And though it's not in the classical interpretation, the classical presentation of wings, it's more like undulating plasma-y stuff, that may actually be where we get the idea that some of these beings have wings. Because if you saw something behind a newcomer that looked like that, you'd say they had wings. It's definitely an angelic motif. So this is an interview that they do giving the meaning of the lyrics to that song Trampoline. It says shaed verified. Now this is a family band, two brothers and a sister, and they live together. And they say so in some of their interviews. Maybe it's this interview. But in this one they give you the quote-unquote meaning of the lyrics and how they came up with them. And it sounds highly unbelievable to me. It's very mundane, prosaic. Oh, we were just watching some old videos of, the two boys jumping on a trampoline, and it was old grainy video, so it gave it kind of a dreamy look. And that's where we came up with that lyric. And one day we were just sitting outside watching the leaves fall from the trees because it was autumn time, so all the trees were the leaves were like a orangish red, and it was sunset, so we had the orange glow of the sunset. And I thought, wow, wouldn't that be weird if the leaves were really on fire? And so that became a lyric, and we threw that in there too. And so to someone who knows that these lyrics have deep meaning and the imagery that goes with them, we've got 5 hits that align with the J Dreamer's cosmology. Floating in the air and not coming down, just floating there. The sky erupts. That's 2 hits, aligning with the J Dreamer's plasma apocalypse cosmology. The flames alight the trees. That's the plasma fires happening right now. The color of the white phantazoid pasty look that, according to J Dreamers, has kind of a glowy look to it, a sheen, a shine, and a sparkly look to it, as described by the people in the past who've recorded these interactions. And the burning rose petal from the outer edges in. Once again, that's the plasma fire. So we have 5 hits, 5 associations with this one story, and there's essentially only 2 lyrics. And so between those 2 lyrics, actually the one lyric, only the first lyric, and some of the imagery, the rose and the pasty white color, we have 5 hits that are in alignment with the storyline of J Dreamer's cosmology and the plasma apocalypse. So as someone, myself, who knows that these artists are dropping messages in music and they are essentially required virtually as terms and conditions of their contract oftentimes, and I'll explain that, they are required to give a prosaic explanation. They can't tell you the message that they're dropping. And they actually have to come up with a cover story. And it's almost like in this case they made it such a mundane, blasé cover story that to someone like myself, it's a nod and a wink and a tip of the hat. Like, you know bullshit when you smell it. And if we came up with the most mundane story we could to try to explain how we came up with these lyrics so that someone who can see a little deeper knows this is a very superficial, shallow cover story. And it wasn't, we were just watching the fallen leaves one day and thought, wouldn't that be weird if they were really on fire? And we were just watching some old home video and thought, well, that looks kind of dreamy. What if you just stuck in the air and hung there and didn't come down? Here's the results for a search query I just put in. It says, one man wrote hundreds of pop. I didn't even finish the thing before it stopped the voice to text and ran the search. That one man has been writing every successful pop song since the late 90s. One man has written virtually every major pop song of the last 20 years. People also ask, who is the guy that writes all the pop songs? Who is the biggest pop songwriter? Is Max Martin a genius? Max Martin is the guy that they're referring to, who has written all of the major pop songs since the late 90s, and you would recognize them as the #1 hits of Britney Spears and Justin Timberlake, and the list goes on and on and on and on. He has 24 of the top 100 Billboard #1 hits of all time, I would think. Not just 24 songs that made it to the top 100 in their heyday when they were being played in the top 100 of the day on the radio, but the top 100 all time, 24 of them are his. That means there could be 3 other guys that make up the other 75 top 100 pop songs. And essentially the point here is this guy hands these lyrics to these pop stars, and I guarantee there's video out there of these songs which he has now admitted to writing. But there's video out there of Justin Timberlake giving you the cover story of how he came up with the lyrics, of Britney Spears giving you her cover story of how she came up with the lyrics, etc., etc., etc. It's part of the terms and conditions of the contractual agreement that you tell people that you wrote this song. You cannot tell them that Max Martin wrote this song. You're the poster child. You're the salesperson. You're the frontline representative for this artwork. You tell them that you wrote it. That's part of the deal. And I guarantee there's plenty of videos out there of the very songs this Max Martin has now acknowledged writing, with the artists themselves telling you about how they came up with it, just like this family telling you, Shaede, the family members of the musicians Shaede, telling you how they came up with Trampoline, and now it was just a normal day, they're watching the leaves fall and watching some old home video. So the point here is there's a movie I haven't seen, but it's called Under the Silver Lake, and apparently there's a part in this movie where this guy who plays the piano tells someone else, yeah, I wrote all the songs, all the pop songs that you've heard, yeah, those are all me, I wrote all those songs. The ironic joke is, there's a song out there called I Write the Songs, I Write the Songs. This is from like back in the 50s. And that's the chorus to it. I write the songs, I write the songs. The guy who sings that did not write that song. So, there is information being dispensed through the music, but the artist who it is given to is required, as part of the agreement, to say that they wrote it. And so it's foreseeable, it's plausible, that Shaede didn't even write that song. That's one way that this information, these embedded messages, can come through the music, is that they're all coming from one central location. At the Illuminati window where you walk up like a Starbucks fast order window and say, I'm here for my music, and he hands you a script, says, there's the lyrics, and maybe they give you the music to go with it, maybe not, I don't know. But also, there is a way that the Muse works in mysterious ways. The Muse is a spirit that comes through musicians and artists of all varieties and allows them to create artistic renditions that are almost beyond their own capabilities. Even if they can play the piano or run the paintbrush pretty good, only when the Muse spirit comes through can they produce a work of art that impresses themselves. And they know the difference between when they're using the Muse spirit to produce their artwork or when they're just trying to do it by themselves. And some artists become very depressed, even suicidal, when they can't tap into the Muse. They call it writer's block for a writer. Also, painters and musicians and actors of all varieties tap into this spirit that helps them perform the work and create the work of art. Sometimes the musician themselves doesn't even know the message that came through, and they may be able to pass a lie detector test and believe every bit of it when they're telling you, no, I really was just sitting in the backyard watching the leaves fall, and then this lyric about, watching the flames alight the trees and all the leaves come down and now it's all upon me, that came to me while I was just watching the trees. Some of them may be able to pass a lie detector test, and they don't even know what it is that came to them or where it came from, or that it's part of a bigger message and a larger storyline. They just know the couple lyrics and verses that came through for them. But there are also talent agencies out there that send out investigators, what I was going to say, like talent scouts that go around to the college basketball teams looking for recruits that they can recruit into the NBA. Similarly, there are talent scouts for the musicians and the artists looking for these artists who have the Muse spirit flowing through them so that we can claim ownership of what they produce and leverage it to our own benefit. And that's why these musicians end up signing away all the rights to their work and end up getting screwed in the end, because there's agencies with these talent scouts that know how to run the industry, find these people that have tapped into the Muse spirit, and particularly get them vulnerable and needy. The needier they are, the better, because then they become putty in the hands of the agent who's trying to get them to sign a contract that says, you produce the work, we will sell it for you, and then we pretty much own it, and we'll give you a little bit of the fruits of your own labor. My point here is, it's very conceivable that that cover story that they give about how they came up with the lyrics for this song Trampoline aren't exactly the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. The Muse works in mysterious ways. There's a possibility it comes through and delivers a message through them that they're not even aware of. But I doubt that. Why would they put the pasty white color all throughout the angelic motif, the burning rose petals from the outer edge in? There are also the producers of the videography who say, well, let us just paint you up to look like this. Let's put this wavy thing behind you that looks like wings. Let's put this burning rose in there. And the artist themselves is just like, okay. They don't know the story that's being told. It's for those with the eyes to see when they watch this music video and hear these lyrics who can see the message that's being conveyed. That's who this is all for. Insiders, initiates, or those who are in the process of initiation and are able to see, who can pick up what's being put down. Or, yeah, maybe it's just pretty pictures. Yeah, it's just some pretty pictures they threw in there. And some colorful words. They don't really mean anything. That's why art, particularly music and paintings, particularly we're talking about music right now though, that's why the music is a vessel, a container, a vehicle that you can use to convey this information. Because as soon as the average Joe hears it as a song, it's just art, suddenly it has no meaning. No, it could mean anything to anyone. It doesn't really have any particular meaning. It's just art. They just got real creative and imaginative and came up with some words and stuck them together. And it really doesn't have any meaning. It's just a song. So it goes right over the head of the average person, and you can put this stuff right out there in the mainstream for anyone to access and know that 99% of people will not pick up what's being put down because it's just art. It's just creative. It's just a painting. It's just a picture. It's just a song. Link will be in the description to the music video Trampoline and to the interview where they give you the prosaic explanation of how those lyrics came to them.